from the Digital Media Center on the campus of Southern Oregon University in Ashland, Oregon. This is Ramping Up Your English, an educational program for intermediate level English language learners. Here's your host for Ramping Up Your English, John Letts.
Welcome to Ramping Up Your English, winner of the Southern Oregon Television Award for the Program of the Year and the Award for Best Educational Program. I'm the host and producer, John Letts. Ramping Up Your English is an educational support program for intermediate English learners. It's a program for people from all language backgrounds. Ramping Up Your English is also for people of all ages. If you've already passed the beginning stages of learning English and want to reach higher levels of proficiency, this program is designed to meet your needs. We take a content-based approach to helping you reach higher levels of English proficiency. Our current thematic unit is animals. This is segment 1 of episode 70. In a previous episode, we became acquainted with two magnificent birds that were pushed to the edge of extinction. In today's episode, we explore various efforts to protect animals. Extinction is a natural element of evolution, but the rate of animals becoming extinct has increased dramatically since the Industrial Revolution. Zoo books, the most recent manifestation of the revolution, has had a negative impact on the habitats of animal and plant life. Now, you may be shocked that some of your favorite animals are pictured here. For each of them, there are scores of plants and humble creatures that support these animals, and they're also in danger of becoming extinct. And guess who's at the top of the pyramid? That's right, people also depend on the diversity of life. Now, these pages illustrate how some of the toxic things we make and use works its way through the food chain, spelling sickness and doom for animals near the top of the pyramid. All these harmful elements are likely to increase with the human population, which is growing at a tremendous rate. So it's all clearly laid out in this edition of Zoo Books, their Endangered Species edition. It lists the organizations that are working to prevent extinctions from happening in the first place. Membership in these groups support efforts to regulate harmful activities and fund projects that help endangered species to survive. Organizations like the National Wildlife Federation and Nature Conservancy are large enough to have a major impact, both politically and on-the-ground projects that help wildlife. Both of these organizations and others perform vital scientific work that makes them valued partners to state and federal agencies that are tasked with managing land in accordance with federal and state law. I'll have this list posted on my website, letscreate.org. Just navigate to the episode 70 page. Our last episode focused on the system of wildlife refuges that provide critical habitat to certain animals in need of that habitat during a certain time of their life cycle. In this episode, we'll explore more bird life and what we'll learn is how to find information on the animal's conservation status. We'll also provide some simple wording for reporting on the conservation status. Let's start by learning more about birds from this video.
For millennia, the envy of mankind, soaring through the heavens, birds never had the dream of flying, while people could only imagine the freedom. In Rocky Mountain High, John Denver sang, "You know he'd be a poorer man if he never saw an eagle fly." Well, seeing bald eagles is an enriching experience. This pair at Juneau, Alaska, enchanted us just looking out our hotel window. The bald eagle is the symbol of the United States, It's also the living proof that people can make good decisions, and some government regulations bring about critical outcomes. As with other birds of prey, bald eagle populations plummeted in the lower 48 states. They became a rare sight, even for those living outside of cities. The reason? A pesticide called DDT. It made their eggs fail. Also, some people shot and even poisoned bald eagles. The U.S. Congress banned DDT and passed laws against killing bald eagles by any means. Slowly, their populations increased. Today in Oregon and many other states, sighting a bald eagle is not nearly as rare, yet no less memorable. Bald eagles mate for life. Their young are called eaglets. The white head and yellow beak show they're mature. In the Salish Sea, the surf scoter is an example of an aquatic bird. These scoters are taking off. Perhaps the most viewed bird along the coast is the seagull. There are many species of seagull. Their diet is vast, taking their nutrition from fish and other sea creatures. They dine just as well on land, finding seaweed and crustaceans on the beach. Seagulls are often seen a long way from the ocean, taking advantage of inland food sources. While seagulls are not a rare sight, this one is rare. A pure white seagull is not a common sight. Our guides in the San Juan Islands had never seen one like this. Not everyone can say they've seen a pure white gull, but we can, and so can you. The double-crested cormorant also lives near the San Juan Islands, as well as other areas of the Northwest. Cormorants and water just go together. Cormorants get their food from the water, and their oilless feathers need to be dried out in the sun. That's why they're often seen perched with their wings spread. The great blue heron is also seen in this area. Another important bird that lives on the coast is the California pelican. These nesting pelicans are at Pismo Beach. Back at the Salish Sea, the water is sometimes a riot of aquatic birds. These aquatic birds have their own swimming pool. They're part of the animals people can see at Wildlife Safari in Winston, Oregon. These pink flamingos are also there. In the wild, pink flamingos are found in Africa and in the Yucatan of Mexico. These graceful birds get their pink color from the shrimp they eat. Check out the webbed feet on this bird. Not all birds are found near the water. This great horned owl makes its home in the forest. It's part of the education outreach for an organization called Wildlife Images. A volunteer for Wildlife Images tells Southern Oregon students about barn owls during the Bear Creek Watershed Symposium.
They can tell which side, how high, how far, how back the sound is coming. What's really neat is the barn owl can tell the difference of sound hitting one side of the ear to the other up to a millionth of a second. Now, if you ever look at videos or something, or have you ever seen an owl hunting, they're moving their heads around like this. They're doing that so the sound is hitting both sides of their head at the same time, both ears. And that way they know, even if the animal is underneath brush or underneath snow, they're looking at exactly what they're hunting. The owls have the most sensitive hearing amongst all the birds. And the barn owls actually got the most sensitive hearing amongst all the owls. Now the dark-eyed owls are the ones that come out in the middle of the night. Those are the nocturnal ones. And like you said, if you look at their feet. You've seen the other birds of prey out there, their feet, they've got the 3 toes and then the one in the back.
The kids were all ears, and it is amazing what owls can do.
And owls can turn their heads quite a ways away around. And they can do that because they actually have 7 more bones in their neck than we do.
Don't they have 17?
What's that?
Don't they have 17?
They have 14 in their neck. And that allows them to turn, depending on the owl, anywhere from 180 degrees to 270 degrees, which is like all the way back, or all the way back plus a little halfway more like that. And they need to do that because they don't really have eyeballs. They're not round like ours. They're actually kind of flat. And they have bone sockets that doesn't allow their eyes to be moved from side to side like we can move our eyes. So that's why they have to turn their heads so far. They have to turn their heads in order to see side to side.
Not surprising, the best place to find a barn owl is in a barn. They hunt at night with their sensitive hearing and sharp eyesight. Even the shape of their face helps funnel the sound to their ears. The soft feathers on their wings allow them to approach prey undetected. If you find a barn owl roosting in the rafters of a barn, look down at your feet. You'll find what may look like owl turds on the floor. These cylinder-shaped objects are not scat. These are called owl pellets. Owl pellets are regurgitated, thrown up through the owl's mouth. The owl's prey is digested in the stomach, but the bones and feathers aren't digested. They're vomited out. If you examine owl pellets, you can see what the owl has eaten. This bird is another Oregon native and another ambassador for teaching people about wildlife. This is a red-tailed hawk. They are often seen in trees or other high places, their hawk eyes looking below for prey. Only this red-tailed hawk is blind in one eye. It's a good example of the work that Wildlife Images does. They are experts at wildlife rehabilitation, helping wounded wildlife heal and return to the wild. When this hawk was returned to the wild, it promptly flew into a building. Well, since it can't very well survive like that, it became one of the animals that help Wildlife Images educate the public about the wildlife with which we share this beautiful area. Red-tailed hawks are widely distributed across the United States. Their color varies by region and even within the same region they share with other red-tailed hawks. Their eyesight is legendary. They can see tiny rodents like voles and field mice from incredible distances. Their sharp, pointed beaks are perfect for tearing prey apart so they can swallow them. A notable adaptation are these sharp claws. That's what delivers the death blow to their prey. The same claws can deliver the prey to their nests for their chicks. In the air, on water, or in the trees, birds are animals worth observing. They can teach us a great deal about wild animals.
You're watching Ramping Up Your English, an educational support program for intermediate level English learners who want to improve their English. We take a content-based approach to help you advance your level of English proficiency. This is segment 2 of episode 70. Our last episode focused on wildlife refuges. Now, there are many efforts to support wildlife and numerous books from which you can learn about these efforts. A book entitled Animal Kingdoms is about wildlife sanctuaries around the world. Natural America beautifully tells the story of the positive impact of public land in the United States and how many areas of this land support wildlife. In the making of the national parks, we learn about how national parks came into being and the role these parks play in supporting wildlife and the ecology. Canada's national parks tells the story of the magnificent national parks in that great country, and the book Enduring Treasures is about national parks throughout the world. Creating national parks is an idea that has spread worldwide because of the benefits both to wildlife and the people who visit and live near them. The book Yellowstone to Yukon is all about providing wildlife a corridor through much of North America for the benefit of the wildlife that gets cut off from areas they need to thrive and reproduce. All these books are from the National Geographic Society. While the content is written at a high level of English, I recommend these to my viewers. The books are well organized and illustrated with National Geographic's award-winning photography. That should provide the context for reading comprehension, especially for viewers of this program. The more you know about a subject, the greater your comprehension will be of the target language. That's because the language input from listening and reading is more comprehensible if you're familiar with the subject. That puts in motion a positive feedback loop that builds comprehension. Now, I've been fortunate to see the birds from time to time, and it's a great, I'll tell you this. This great blue heron is what you're looking at. Now, walking through the farm in Louisiana, I would see one rise up on those long wings from a drainage ditch, always complaining with an almost dinosaur-like caw. Now living in Oregon, I still seem to scare up a blue heron when I walk along creeks or when paddling my canoe. I've even seen a couple of heron rookeries where they raise their young up in the trees. While not hunted for meat, great blue herons were once hunted for their beautiful feathers. The great blue heron spends most of its life cycle alone, spearing fish and small mammals along creeks and bayous and rivers. Even more pressure was placed on great white herons, great egrets, and snowy egrets. Their feathers were sought by people wanting that plumage in their hats. Now, it was a fashion at the time, and only strict laws put an end to the practice. These birds have a central place in the wetlands habitat. With the high price paid for their plumage, hunters were motivated to hunt them down and kill them by the thousands. Naturally, their numbers diminished under these conditions, and they were certainly endangered. The protection given by state and federal laws helped the populations of egrets and herons rebound to healthy levels. It's now unusual not to see these birds when visiting the countryside, from Florida to Louisiana to California. The recovery also came when wearing bird feathers fell out of fashion. Now, those remain on the books today, those laws, and with good reason. Wearing pelts from certain mammals also fell out of fashion in the 1970s and 80s, but that fashion trend is making a comeback. So if that happens with feathers, birds like these may sorely need the protection provided by these laws. Now, the bird I heard the most about growing up in Louisiana is the duck. Every winter, when the rice crop is safely out of the field, farmers and their friends can be found in their duck blinds, hoping to come home with this game fowl. Now, mallard ducks, pinheads, and other species of ducks migrate to Louisiana for the winter, and hunters build duck ponds and blow into duck calls to lure them into shotgun range. Now, mallard ducks are numerous enough that these hunting activities don't put any danger for them of extinction, but it wasn't always that way. When government was very limited and hunting unregulated, the population of many game birds began to fall. Hunting organizations strove to keep these waterfowl from being hunted to extinction. The hunting community largely accepted the regulations, along with the habitat conservation efforts that supported the migratory birds. Now, one of the oldest organizations to protect and conserve game birds is Ducks Unlimited. This artwork is from Ducks Unlimited, showing various species of birds that are being conserved as a result of efforts by Ducks Unlimited. Now, as you can see, the reach of Ducks Unlimited is not limited only to ducks. Now, my first memory of ducks had to do with duck hunting. A yearly ritual in Louisiana was to buy your duck stamp. This was affixed to the hunting license to allow the holder to hunt ducks. Now, besides controlling the number of hunters, this purchase raised money for restoring the wetland habitat on which the ducks depended. Hunting ducks means using a gun. Now, while I did some hunting when I was a teenager, I soon found that I preferred the camera to the shotgun. That doesn't mean I'm against fair and regulated hunting. Fairness has to do with meeting the animal at least somewhat on its own terms. Trying to call down a flock of birds to a pond or stalking a land animal, the animal should have a chance to outsmart or outmaneuver the hunter. That's called sportsmanship, in contrast to baiting or chumming. Now, a well-regulated hunt can keep animal populations in balance. When any animal overpopulates, serious problems can follow, such as disease and damaging the habitat's carrying capacity. In other words, overpopulating animals can do long-term damage to the environment that would otherwise sustain them. In my view, hunters have a role in the balance of nature, and it's a way that many people connect with nature. While bow hunting is becoming increasingly popular in the Pacific Northwest, most hunting involves guns. At this time in the United States, we're undergoing yet another debate about guns. The difference this time is that after another school shooting, young people all over the country are demanding change in the gun laws. I'm very proud of these kids. It looks like they'll hold out for real change. One thing's for certain, the school shooting has got to stop. Now, our kids need to be safe in school, and I support anything that will increase that safety. It seems to me that banning assault weapons would go a long way toward that goal. You're watching Ramping Up Your English. Our current content unit is animals. This is segment 3 of episode 70. This episode is about endangered animals and what's being done to keep them from becoming extinct. One component of the animal report you're writing is the animal's conservation status. If the source you're using doesn't have that, then you can Google conservation status of, and then put in the name of your research subject. That should get you to some information you need. On the wildlife cards, conservation information is listed in its own section. Here we see that brown pelicans are a common sight. That indicates that the species is not endangered. Details show us that brown pelicans suffered from pesticides in the 1950s and 60s. That's a reference to DDT. The roseate spoonbill is not currently threatened, which means it's not endangered. It's worth noting that the threats it faced in the past and the successful efforts of the Audubon Society to save it. Peregrine falcons, we see that the historic threat of DDT again. The last part of the information indicates rising populations in some areas for those birds. Now, the Arctic tern status is a bit confusing. We're told that the population is stable, but that they are being threatened by overfishing. Here we learn a number of ruby-throated hummingbirds are in decline. That's also information about the fashion trade, threatening them in the past, as well as the cage bird trade. The information about destruction of their winter habitat is important, but so is the modifier that the reason is unsure. And here are some ways to report on your animal's conservation status. If they're on the endangered species list, use the first sentence. Using the word not can indicate the opposite. In the second sentence, populations of, and then the name of the animal, are declining, and then add the reason. Some organizations indicate when a species is of critical concern. You can use the third sentence, then add the organization that has them listed as such. Now, if there's good news about your subject, the last sentence may be the one that does the trick. Feel free to add sentences about why they're doing well. Now, we're nearing the end of our animal report instruction. Our previous episodes have instructions and examples of how to do other parts of the report, starting with episode 40. I'd love to hear from you and see how you're progressing with this program. Send an email to letscreatepro@gmail.com. Visit my website, letscreate.org, for all the support materials for this episode. Just navigate to the episode 70 page. You can watch and even download all episodes of Ramping Up Your English at archive.org/details/roguetv. Use the search box by entering Ramping Up Your English. You'll find all the episodes there. Ramping Up Your English can be seen in Ashland on Channel 15 or 115 on the Ashland Home Network, and in the rest of Southern Oregon on cable channel 182. Showtimes are 8 a.m. on Mondays and 7:30 p.m. on Thursdays. Visit rvt.sou.edu for free live streaming. Showtimes will be different in different areas. Check your local public access and education stations. I want to thank my director, Denise Ross, and my talented and dedicated crew, and I want to thank you, our viewers. All of you helped to make this program an award winner. Join us next time for Ramping Up Your English. I'm John Letts.
You've been watching Ramping Up Your English, a support program for intermediate level English language learners. Learn more. Visit our website at letscreate.org. You can also watch or download today's program at archive.org/details/roguetv. Join us next time on RBTV Voices for Ramping Up Your English.